Hi everyone, I'm Palashi Vaghela, a PhD candidate at Cornell, and I'm here to present our work called Interrupting Merit, Subverting Caste. My co-authors are Professor Steve Jackson and Professor Phoebe Sengers. Modern urban Indian society understands itself as moving away from caste. Still, caste continues to be salient in both explicit and implicit ways. For example, caste location is always explicit in conversations of marriage, since caste hierarchies are maintained in Indian society through caste endogamy. Implicit caste advantages take the form of something similar to what we see in this image. It features a notice saying, if maids, drivers, or delivery boys use main lifts, rupees 300 will be fined. This notice was put up in an IT company's building in the city of Hyderabad in India. Someone on Twitter pointed out the problematic nature of this notice without ever mentioning caste. But we know it is about caste because of caste's enduring connection with the world of professions. Higher castes tend to dominate professions like doctors and lawyers, large businesses, and white-collar work, whereas lower castes tend to be in professions like those of maids or sanitation workers, etc. In order to make sense of how caste operates in modern India and thus within worlds of HCI and computing, one needs to understand how caste came to be associated with merit. Constitution of India affords affirmative action benefits to lower castes with a quota of seats in educational institutions and government jobs. While this effort towards caste equality has helped with socio-economic mobility of the lower castes, it has brought forth a movement in defense of merit and against reservations. The argument is that reservations enable those who are less deserving, that is the lower castes, to take the spots of more deserving higher caste individuals who are meritorious. This goes hand in hand with the fact that Dalits and other lower castes must assert their caste status to obtain equal rights to education and work. On the other hand, the general category, that is the upper castes, don't need to explicitly invoke their caste to negotiate the system. Their historically accrued advantages and capital simply become merit. In this paper, we explore dilemmas that arise from the intertwining of merit with caste in an ostensibly casteless computing culture. We ask, how do notions of merit, caste, and castelessness manifest in everyday culture and practice of computing? How do Dalits in computing encounter and deal with these notions? What do their experiences tell us about the phenomenon of caste? And why and how does this matter for HCI and computing? Following a narrative analysis of life stories of 16 Dalit engineers, we found that there are 4 key strategies of encountering and navigating caste in worlds of computing or HCI. They are the interpretation of caste inscriptions in different contexts, the interruption of caste narratives, usually encountered in the form of merit, the ambiguation of caste identities through obfuscation and defection, and lastly, the finding and building of caste communities through subtle caste codes and markers. In the following slides, I will recount 2 instances that demonstrate 2 strategies. A description of the research methodology and instances of other strategies used by our participants are detailed in our paper. When Priyam joined an American MNC dominated by upper castes, a lot of them were openly Islamophobic. Priyam adopted a tactic to pass among the upper castes without giving away his caste. I would publicly take pro-Muslim stances. I think it would have been a subconscious proxy of my pro-anti-caste credentials. I have made public remarks about caste, but I have never done it in such an explicit way that, my caste identity is revealed. But I have been very, very vocal about Islamophobia. We found that almost all of our participants at one time or another had adopted the method of ambiguating their caste when asked about it in the worlds of computing. Many admitted to being nervous about how they would have been perceived once their colleagues knew that they were Dalit or how it would affect their career. They also expressed how there was always uncertainty around whether they had successfully ambiguated their caste or not. The other strategy of working with clues of caste legibility involved interpreting signals and learning to give them to find other Dalits in the worlds of computing. For example, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, who's featured here, continues to be a Dalit icon and a symbol of finding other lower caste folks at work. He is a revered figure among the lower castes in India, especially Dalits, as a champion of the anti-caste movement. Once on his death anniversary, Prakash put up a photo of Baba Saheb Ambedkar as his WhatsApp display picture. A co-worker sitting next to Prakash on his way back home from work happened to notice Baba Saheb's picture on Prakash's WhatsApp. The co-worker asked Prakash, Hey, आप बाबा साहेब को follow करते क्या? Are you a follower of Baba Saheb? Prakash responded, yes. After a couple of days, his co-worker confided in Prakash saying, I am from a caste that comes under other backward classes or OBC. Prakash was grateful that he admitted to being an Ambedkarite, as it led him to meet another lower caste person at work. But at the same time, he explained how he would never put up an image like this anywhere close to his workplace. And this was a rare oversight, as he doesn't interact with his co-workers on WhatsApp. Other instances too in our study demonstrated the risky and contingent nature of finding other Dalits in worlds of computing. So how can the experiences and strategies of Dalit engineers help us more deeply understand how people inhabit, reject, and negotiate historical marginalization in HCI? We find that Dalits learn to sense and interpret caste inscriptions, which they then use to subvert caste legibility. Their experiences stand in stark contrast to the claims of castelessness of computing. We see that caste is not a residual or a vestigial issue of the past. Caste is reconstituted and reproduced on an ongoing basis, including in spaces like HCI or computing. In our work, we found that everyday encounters posed both burden and opportunity for Dalits. Our participants grappled with their history of being untouchables, but also challenged confines of caste categories. Dalits in our study challenge the static notion of caste identity assigned by genealogy. They play with the boundaries of caste. They make space to navigate computing on their own terms. We saw this with Priyam, who adopted the strategy of proxying anti-caste views with pro-minority views at work, or in the case of Prakash, managing his Dalit identity at work with careful revelation tactics. Our study shows that biographical accounts of a certain identity are not necessarily teleological or linear in nature. These stories are not a progress narrative of arriving at a stable entity. For example, Priyam had become more comfortable with his caste identity when surrounded by other Dalits in college. But now at work, he has adopted a different strategy which leads him to not admitting to being Dalit at all. The idea that one is always Dalit in the same way across time is in conflict with the relational and fluid nature of caste, which we saw at play in this study. So instead of approaching identity in HCI as fixed, known data points, we recommend that authors and practitioners of HCI incorporate a relationally and temporally situated engagement with categories of marginalization in research and practice. We propose that the notion of performative identities frames historical discrimination in the world of HCI in a way that is dynamic. This recognizes the artful performances of those at the margins as they challenge structural inequality in everyday social encounters. Thank you, and we look forward to answering your questions.